Now, so we have an amazing guest today, Celia Elumba from the Philippines. And Charlene, you're gonna tell us a lot about her.
Yes. So we've invited to join us today someone who will share with us a little bit more interesting insights about Philippine fashion. Our good friend here, Celia Elumba, who works for the Department for Science and Technology of the Philippine government. So Celia has a background from the private sector, working in fashion as well, previous to her role in the government, and has since been very dedicated to her role, doing a lot for the textile industry on research side here in the Philippines. And she will share with us a little bit more about her background and also some interesting tidbits and insights.
Hello, everyone. Hi.
Hello, Celia. Welcome. So excited to meet you.
I am very excited to be here. This is a fantastic opportunity, and I thank all of you for organizing this and putting this together. I think Charlene, when Charlene mentioned this little project, I came on board as it was not really very structured, not official, not very, not something that we had planned on, but I had just sort of wanted to find a way how we can really reach out and help. I reached out to a couple of friends, and the reaching out was very, very basic. It was really, guys, we have this. It's a fantastic opportunity. This is what the times are calling for. And education is the best gift that we can give as persons to persons. It is really that one equalizer. And it does not matter what your conditions in life is at the moment. But with education, you can really change the future of a generation, the future of a family. So this was very close to heart. Did not require much talking to. But let me go back and say a bit about myself. As Charlene had mentioned, I am now working for the Philippine Textile Research Institute. It is a research and development arm of the Department of Science and Technology. So really, I'm veering more towards the research, development, science, technology aspect of the fashion industry. But before that, I spent decades, many, many years in the fashion merchandising and the retail industry. I was working for companies that perhaps you would be familiar with. I worked for Liz Claiborne. I worked for a Boss Hugo Boss, and they had both the retail operations as well as the merchandising and the sourcing operations. And I was head of sourcing in the Philippines and retail eventually in the Philippines as well. So it goes a bit of a 360-degree turn in both the manufacturing side, the sourcing, merchandising, and the retailing, meaning both exports and imports are part of that whole trade. So I come with a particular appreciation for the development of textiles. Fashion becomes an adjunct to it because eventually what I'm really very keen to look at is the social dynamics. It really brings in the perspective, the development of a people, the development of an economy, the development of that regional possibilities for folks in the countryside. So we are geared, I am particularly an advocate of, you may call it slow fashion, but for me, it is localized integration. This is really making use of the resources available to a people in a locale. If we are growing, for example, pineapple fruit, the leaves of that can still be used to produce fiber, which can then be made into fabric, which can then be made into a fashion piece that can then nurture a local economy. It's an ecosystem. So in essence, you are using what you produce, producing what you are using and what you are needing. And so the highest value transformation happens on the ground where the very source of raw materials or the talent and the skill of the people in the community, the transformation, the highest value transformation happens in that particular location. So this is really what I'm very keen to explore and very passionate to really nurture.
That's amazing. Can you tell us some example about some of these materials that you mentioned?
The Philippines, even before the Spaniards came to town or came to the country, we already had a textile industry going. And you can imagine that this is really coming from the needs, your particular needs. Imagine the human person. I mean, Adam and Eve, they sewed up fig leaves, right? So every community all over the world has their own traditions. And in our case, this would be handloom weaving. And handloom weaving comes to us in two forms. One is really using only your hands, and your loom is your body. You are really using your back as the harness, and you are really transforming barks or fibers that you can draw from the ground into a piece of fabric. And then you can have the upright loom, which is really now a machine that you can really have set up on the floor. It's a floor loom that you can use pedals and harnesses come up and forth. So let me just show you as an example of a hand loom woven fabrics. This fabric is a yakan weave. This really is done by folks from our Southern Island group. This is completely done by hand.
Wow.
By hand, I mean the body is the loom itself, right? So this is made of 100% cotton as it is right now.
How
I think this is
beautiful.
some abaca also mixed in it. But let me tell you about our island groups. Marivic was very kind to share with us the three places that she has gone to. Palawan is in the southernmost island group. Then we have Boracay is in the middle of Visayas island group. And then I think the third one, Marivic,
Bicol.
was in Bicol. That's in the Luzon island group.
Yes.
So you really looked at at all three major island groups. This particular piece is from the Mindanao area, the Southern Island group. And maybe one of the best ways I can show you the handloom woven traditions would be to show you just the scarves. Let's work with the scarves itself. So let me first show you something that is done from the Cordillera. This is handloom woven from the Cordilleras by the mountain province people, the Igorot people. This is maybe you cannot perhaps see it as well, but this is a naturally dyed silk scarf.
Wow.
You know, I'm particularly proud of this because the silkworms are grown in our technology center in Misamis Oriental, which is also in the Mindanao Island group. So this is homegrown, 100% Mindanao silk,
How
which is
beautiful.
using naturally dyed fabric. This is also naturally dyed, by the way. And then this is from the Mindanao Island group. This is raw silk, which is coming from the Negros Oriental, the Visayan Island group. So the representation of Luzon, Visayas, and Mindanao is likewise available.
Wow.
But I also wanted to say that part of what the tradition of textiles also develops, this is a belt material which is perhaps you'll not be able to appreciate as well. But this is called sauri weaving, which is really, they call this weaving with the joy of no intention. What does that mean? When you're looking at a piece like this, you have a pattern. Even with the yakan weave, you have a pattern, right? You're following a particular spatial considerations. There is an arithmetic that goes into this. But when you go into a sauri loom weave, this is really based on whatever you want to put in. It has no repetition. Why is this special to me? This is special because this was done by a group of differently abled individuals for whom we had provided special hand looms, which do not have foot pedals. And so this is really done by someone. This was done by someone with, I think he had Down syndrome. Another group is doing this. They're doing I'm sorry, I apologize now. I forget the term. But these are vestments, liturgical vestments. The simple ones, it's being done by a special group of guys with cerebral palsy, with mental retardation. And this is for a servants of charity community in one of our cities here in the metro. So there is so much that handloom in itself for both the city folks. This is for the city folks because this is being done in the metro area, as well as the guys from our island groups are being able to contribute. There's a study that had said that weaving is really dominated by a lot of women, and that weaving is really by women from the vulnerable age group, which is the median age, I understand, was about 55. But they also found that this age group, or this particular group of women, were one of those that were socially, appreciated, recognized, because they're able to contribute. They do not feel that they are useless or helpless. So when you imagine that there is that economic perspective, but also the psychosocial dynamics that go into it, plus the enabling of an ecosystem that can contribute to industry, as well as to livelihood, as well as to development of people and community, the idea of textiles as a linchpin for growth, economic growth, is really very sound. And when you consider it, that's how England really started up with industrialization, and that was one of the biggest exports to America, textiles. And in our particular case, we are really starting from the ground, meaning if you compare that the country only has about 200,000 spindles compared to, let's say, Vietnam 7 million or India's 40 million, it's a long stretch. We're not even going after that. We're not chasing after that. But what it is that we must come up with something special, something unique and something distinct. And this is where the traditional textile or the textile traditions of a country really come to the fore. And in the research side of things, where I belong, the science and research side, we are really focusing on agricultural products and byproducts. And by that, we're looking at pineapple leaves, which really you throw away after you take up the fruit. First of all, let me tell you, there are two kinds of pineapple we're working with. What I'm wearing is made of pineapple that is grown for the leaves itself, because the leaves grow to as long as 1 meter, 1.5 meters long. And for this one, this is really, nature is fantastic. God is really, truly the wisdom that he puts into nature. The fruit of this particular leaves of pineapple is small. Therefore, you use the leaves and not the fruit. The fruit becomes decorative. But the pineapple, we know, the plantation pineapples, these are the fruits that are big, and we eat the fruit and we throw away the leaves. So for fabric like this, we would take the pineapple leaf that you throw away, coming from the big plantation fruit, and then make that into a spinnable fiber that can then be made into a yarn, that can be made into a fabric, into a finished product. So we are looking at the circularity of things. We want to be able to make the most use of the resources that we have available to us, convert that into another material that becomes an input to another product, that becomes an input to another product or industry. Pineapple leaves is just one of them. We also take a look at banana. We also take a look at abaca. And we look at, abaca is endemic to the country, by the way. I think 85% of the world's exports of abaca come from the Philippines. And the others that are coming from other countries, the base fruit of that or the plant came from the Philippines. So it's truly a 100% Philippine product if your product has abaca in it. Another material that we are very drawn to is bamboo. And we're not looking at bamboo as a viscose material that is very, environmentally unsound. We're looking at bamboo as still a mechanically driven or drawn yarn. It has a fantastic texture to it. It's like, although it has a more body, but I think with study we can make it finer to make it feel more, or have a drape that is more or closer to linen. Right now, the drape is more sturdy. It looks like a suiting material. It's fantastic as a replacement for our typical barong or a jacket material. I'm sorry that I don't have my sample here with me. It's in the wash, in the laundry. But it's a fantastic piece of material to have. And I'm really looking to have more communities engaged in this type of activities. The country is not very strong in terms of the industrial side of textile development. It has a very long drawn history. We have lost the mass scale of production of textiles over the last 20 years, the last 2 decades. And now it is such an irony that when you go up the value chain, garmenting is the lowest when you sew up product, because you're using different materials to sew it up. To go up the value chain is our goal. And to go up, you have to have textiles. And to go up, you have to have fibers. There's the irony. We have the fiber, but the textile industry needs to be developed. So we're starting from scratch, meaning we are looking at micro-scale enterprises that produce this, and we established the first regional yarn production and innovation center in Iloilo, in Yagao, where we're using abaca mixed with locally grown cotton. And this is naturally grown cotton, not the GMO variety, which has the higher value for us, because after all, we don't have as much hectareages planted to them as yet. So why not produce the better material for that purpose? So we are very much excited with the developments that we can have here. This is an example of the...
Can we ask questions?
Oh, sure, certainly, okay? Sure. Just stop me anytime.
Oh my goodness!
Just wanted to show more.
It's so intense. No, we are gonna talk a little bit more, but it's very, very interesting. I'm very intrigued about the pineapple fiber. So the pineapple fiber comes from the leaves. So
Yes.
and then it says, so tell me, like, if so, because what you are wearing looks very fresh for a hot weather, and then you
Yes.
show us the other piece of clothes that it was also for pineapple and looks thicker.
Yes.
So can you tell us a little bit about how this fiber feels? And it's so interesting.
You know, textile is very versatile. You can make it thicker, thinner. You can make it slubbier, finer. Certainly, materials have a very natural context to it. You cannot, it's the nature of the beast. You can only beat it so much, right? So the fineness of this material is because of the fineness of the yarn itself.
Exactly.
But if you twist it, if you now mix it together, if you now blend it with another material that is thicker, then you develop a different texture to it. So this is also a pineapple-based fabric. I don't know if you can see it as well.
Yeah, we can see it.
But
because it's very
but this
interesting
one-
because in like
this one
yeah. So
is mixed with cotton.
Oh.
And it is also mixed with silk. It has a silk on the warp, and it is pineapple with cotton on the weft of it. So this is what you call a supplementary weave design. I'm not sure if you can see it very well, but this is a woven-in pattern that is done by the people of Aklan.
Nice.
So this comes from very close to where Boracay is. It's in the same province, and it is really just about 20 minutes away from where they weave this particular fabric.
I see. It's very interesting. You know, when we were in Peru, like I understand, for example, the alpacas, right? If you want something very thin, they will have the baby alpaca. And then if you want, and the more mature is the alpaca, the thicker the fiber. So it's fascinating to me to hear about the pineapple. It's probably something normal for you guys, but for us, something new and very amazing, right?
Oh, thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you. Well, it is not yet actually in the mainstream. What is in mainstream is what I'm wearing. This is really worn for our, more special occasions, as they would say. But what we would like is to develop more materials that are in this genre, which is really your mainstream. You can wear this to work. You can wear this to any occasion. And this is really where I think the value of the pineapple leaves of that nature, because this is the pineapple leaf that is grown for the leaf. This is pineapple that is grown for the fruit. And this, you have, I think, about 160,000 hectares.
Wow.
That is grown in this. And that 160,000 hectares, that can really fuel up a local economy that can really provide for an industry and so save work and jobs, and people hopefully will not have to go outside of the country to find work. That's also part of our objective, our goal, to be able to have more work for our people in our own country instead of having to send them out or having to have them leave their families.
Exactly. That's a fascinating project. You know, like you say, you guys have a lot of pineapple, a lot of resources, but you are missing somehow the technology. So you are working on this project of having the technology to have the resources in the Philippines. That's an amazing project.
Yeah. Well, actually, the technology is available. It is really more the industrialists who have to come on board and invest in the possibilities that textiles can offer the local economy. It's really more of the investment, which really is more than money, because at the end of the day, if you're looking at a micro enterprise, you know that this is like an antithesis to big business. You're not looking at big bucks very quickly because it's micro in operation, but it is micro in operation precisely because you have to draw your raw materials from the ground. It is literally sitting on the ground, and transforming that material is it does require an industry in itself. And so I always say, I've been saying this for the last 3 years, I think that the next big thing is really fiber supply. And I have seen that happen in the United States. I'm following a particular group there. I'm very inspired by the work that they do. This is a fiber shed, which is based in Northern California. I'm very, very inspired by the tenets that they go by. And I try to apply as much of that as I can in my own setting in the Philippines. What we do need are more industrialists who will look at micro enterprises for more than just the financial, how do you say, returns that it will promise. More than that, it will come. I don't doubt that it will come, but I don't think that income, or rather the return, should be the fastest or the easiest way to appreciate the business or the industry. I think you have to take a look at the bigger picture, which is really a little bit more than just money in it.
Exactly.
So
it's all of the jobs that you are creating, right? It's all of that. That's yes. Incredible.
Guys, I'd like to share with you a video, 2 videos in fact. One that will show you the traditional way that the pineapple leaf, and I mean the pineapple leaf, I will call it the red Spanish pineapple because that is the technical name for it. The red Spanish has the longer leaves, and it is really completely done by hand, even the extraction of the fiber. So we'll show you that video, and then we will segue to how it is really done in the spun process using the pineapple that is thrown out as a byproduct, as an agricultural waste. And this we find has fantastic merits for a country with so many people that we would like to be able to dress up in mainstream fashion way.
The traditional fiber extraction process. This type of extraction is only done in Kalibuak land because of the type of pineapple that grows there, the red Spanish pineapple. Its leaves are long with little spikes along its edges. They soak the leaves for 10 to 14 days to soften it and then start hand scraping it using a soft plate. By hand scraping, the outer layer of the leaf is removed, exposing the fibers. They gather these fibers and leave them under the sun to dry. They then start knotting each to form a continuous line or thread of piña fiber. For this type of fiber, they use a traditional hand loom made from strings, wood, and bamboo.
advantage is the source of natural dyes can be waste materials. Say for example, the coconut husk.